Stocks start trending back upwards overnight. The Seattle Police Department decides it's time to run in and break up the chop. Tina Fey goes back after her own back catalog for 30 Rock, and Bubba Wallace may have Kaepernick the NASCAR organization. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, glorious people, and welcome to Contemporary. I'm Jay Edgar, and we have got a ton to get to today. If you haven't gone back and checked it back out, go and check out the talk that I had with John from the Generational Gap last night. It was pretty epic, and I do encourage everybody to go look at that and go look at the Generational Gap if you haven't already. We've got a ton to get here today, though. But before we get started, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is back up and running, and we are getting all of the episodes loaded back up again. So go and check us out over there. It looks like we're not pulling RRC, though, so we will have to go and take care of that as well. But go and check us out over there. We have got myself, we've got the Generational Gap, we've got Stephen Ignoramus, we've got the R-Rated Conservative, we've got the Freckles and Brit Show. So go and check us out over there. It's going to be a great time, and there's going to be a lot of stuff coming as we move down, and as this new chapter for Ed's World comes up, and I get to spend a little bit more time on the website. So please go back and check us out and buy some of our swag. All right, we're going to start here looking at the Dow Jones from yesterday. Looks like we had a little bit of a rocky start, but it looks like a fairly steady climb, and slow and steady wins the race. And that's what's going to lead us back to that V-shaped recovery that I think a lot of people are counting on at this point, and I do legitimately think it's going to happen. So let's keep going down and seeing what the stock traders have to say about this. Dow Jones futures rally after Trump advisor Peter Navarro says China trade deal on. This is from Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures rode solidly early Tuesday along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures after the White House clarified that the China trade deal is on. DGIA futures dived Monday evening when the White House trade official Peter Navarro said the China trade deal is over, but Dow Jones Industrial Average futures erased losses in a whipsaw action as Navarro said he wasn't saying that the U.S. would break off the Phase 1 trade accord. President Donald Trump said the China deal is fully intact. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures signal the blue chip index will test its 200-day moving average. NASDAQ futures point to a record high for the tech-heavy index. Navarro told Fox News that the China trade deal was over, saying the turning point was the U.S. learning about the spreading coronavirus only after the Phase 1 accord was signed on January 15th. That sent the Dow Jones futures tumbling, but then Navarro told the media that his comment was not about the Phase 1 China trade deal, which remains in place. He said his statement was wildly out of context and that he was referring to a loss of trust with Beijing, which I could understand that as we move along. And I mean, Beijing has been shifty and shady as hell from the beginning, so losing trust in them I think is about par for the course at this point. President Trump tweeted Monday night, "The China trade deal is fully intact. Hopefully, they will continue to live up to the terms of the agreement." Apple, Microsoft, and other big cap tech stocks led Monday's strong session for the coronavirus stock market rally. Netflix broke out while Fortinet, Splunk, Infi, and Atlassian also flashed buy signals. The stock market rally had powered higher despite soaring new coronavirus cases in the US and worldwide. Apple and AAPL stock, which I believe are the same thing, were in focus on Monday as the Dow Jones tech giant kicked off its worldwide developers event. As expected, Apple said it will move towards using in-house chips for its Mac computers, replacing Intel processors. Apple stock, Microsoft stock, Fortinet stock, Netflix stock, and Atlassian stock are all on the IBD 50 leaderboard. Netflix stock and Infi are on Swing Trader. FTNT and Netflix are on the IBD 50 list. Microsoft and Fortinet stock are IBD long-term leaders. Team stock is on the long-term leaders watch list. Dow Jones futures rose 1.4% versus fair value. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures initially tumbled on Navarro's initial comments, erased losses on his revised statement, and moved higher on Trump's tweet. Trump tweets, "The stock market reacts." That'll make you a little bit nervous at night. S&P 500 futures were up 1.2% and Nasdaq 100 futures are gained 0.8% before the China trade comments. Dow futures were modestly higher. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures have become more volatile in recent days. Apple stock climbed 1.5% and Microsoft stock 1% before the open, adding to Monday's gains and giving a boost to stock futures. The Flash Eurozone Composite Purchasing Managers Index jumped to a 4-month high of 47.5 in June from May's 31.9. That's still below the neutral 50 level, but no longer plunging. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session on Sunday afternoon. Dow Jones futures opened down nearly 2% versus fair value, but rebounded to little changed by the open, and that didn't foreshadow the gains that the Dow, or for the Dow and especially the Nasdaq. That's how that's phrased. So it looks like we're looking at things going up here as we start trading, and hey, maybe John Bolton will get vindicated. Oh, well, Trump, he's in Xi Jinping's pocket. Let's impeach him for the next 4 years over that. Yeah, we'll be talking about that jack off later on too. But we're going to look at some more stocks here before we get into the news. Dow futures jumped 300 points, recovering from overnight losses following China trade deal scare. This is from Fred Imbert, Maggie Fitzgerald, and Eustace Wang. Stock futures recovered from earlier losses to trade higher early Tuesday after stock trade advisor Peter Navarro clarified that the U.S.-China trade deal is not over. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures were up 330 points or 1.3%, implying an opening gain of 387 points. S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 futures traded higher by 1.1% and 0.7% respectively. My comments have been taken wildly out of context, Navarro said in a statement. They had nothing at all to do with the Phase 1 trade deal, which continues in place. President Trump also tweeted that the existing trade deal remains in place. Earlier in the session, Dow futures had dropped about 400 points. Futures plunged after Navarro's Monday interview on Fox News' The Story. Fox's Martha McCallum asked, "Do you think that the president he obviously really wanted to hang on to this trade deal as much as possible. And he wanted them to make good on promises because there had been progress made on that trade deal. But given everything that's happened and..." I'm sorry, there's a moth flying around here. It just caught my attention there for a second out of the corner of my eye. And he wanted them to make good on promises because there had been progress made in that trade deal. But given everything that's happened and all the things you just listed, is that over? It's over, yes, Navarro responded. In his subsequent statement, Navarro said, "I was simply speaking to the lack of trust we now have in the Chinese Communist Party after they lied about the origins of the China virus and foisted a pandemic upon the world." In his interview with Fox, Navarro said the turning point came when the U.S. heard about the coronavirus outbreak in China. Navarro claimed that the administration only heard about the virus after the trade deal between Washington and Beijing was signed on January 15th. Why is our economy still dependent on China? Why? Why do we still have to look at the fact at what China's doing in order for us to have a stock market gain? That really kind of bothers me, I'm not going to lie. And I had really hoped that globalism would be over after we saw China come back and say, "No, we're not giving you anything. We're keeping these masks for ourselves." But apparently that's still going to be a thing, and apparently it's still going to be what the markets want to see too, because they are reacting in a fairly positive manner. Alright, let's keep going here. Let's look at some of the news. From Fox News, to start out with today, residents near Seattle's CHOP asked what took the city so long to move to break up the protest. This is from Louis Casiano and Edmund DeMarche. Residents who live near Seattle's police-free zone called CHOP, Capitol Hill Organized Protest, expressed relief after Mayor Jenny Durkan announced Monday that city officials are working to end the protest following 2 shootings over the weekend, one of them deadly. But despite the mayor's decision to act, some residents who live in the area were critical of the city's leadership for taking so long to act. It was doomed to happen from day one, Matthew Plozage, who lives in the vicinity, told Como News. "No one wanted to say it, but I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. It should have ended when the car tender got broken and the mob went down and broke his fence. It didn't have to come to this." Durkan said the violence was distracting from changes sought by thousands of peaceful protesters opposing racial inequality and police brutality. She said at a news conference that the city is working with the community to bring CHOP to an end, and that police soon would move back into the precinct building in the area they had largely abandoned. Oh, good luck with that. Oh man, there's so much to unpack here, and we're not even that far into this article. But yeah, the police are going to go back and move into the building that they're going to have to spend millions of dollars repairing, because of course that was the first target of these assholes in the CHOP. But then just this entire city is covered in graffiti, and the park is torn to hell. And there's not going to be any grass there. I don't know if there's going to be any swing set or anything there. I don't know what this area was, but from what I understand, it was pretty upscale and hipstery. And man, there are going to be people that just don't want to go back into this area. But Mayor Durkin says that yes, they are going to go back in. So who am I to judge what Mayor Durkin wants? All right. The mayor did not give an immediate timeline for clearing out the occupation, but said additional steps would be examined if people don't leave voluntarily. With scores of people camping in a park in the protest zone, Durkin said peaceful demonstrations could continue, but nighttime disorder has to stop. The cumulative impacts of the gatherings and protests and the nighttime atmosphere and violence has led to increasingly difficult circumstances for businesses and residents, Durkin said. The impacts have increased and the safety has decreased. City leaders have faced mounting criticism, including from President Trump, over the protest zone amid reports of violence inside the area. Police had not been able to go inside the zone. The dismantling of the CHOP will follow the death of a 19-year-old man on Saturday's shooting, which another person was injured. On Sunday, a 17-year-old was shot in the arm on the edge of the area. Demonstrators inside the CHOP have been mostly peaceful, handing out free food and playing music. Bullshit! But a more dangerous atmosphere has become evident at night. There should be no place in Seattle that the Seattle Fire Department and the Seattle Police Department can't go, Durkin said. On Monday, some CHOP members called for changes to the zone over the violence. In an open letter addressed to organizers, a group of 25 activists and volunteers asked leaders to set up a safe use area on the outskirts of the zone, create different signage, encourage intoxicated persons to stay away, and implement a curfew to prevent destructive behavior at night. We would like to acknowledge that no organizations, protests, or revolutions are perfect, the group wrote. We must all be willing to collectively learn and react quickly to mistakes made within our movement. We do not want to see what was started with the intention of lifting the BLM message destroyed before us all. So I think they're going to fight for this, which is kind of going to be interesting to watch as Mayor Durkin and Jay Inslee come in to decide what to do about all of this. And yes, it really took somebody getting shot in order for Durkin to come up and do something. But of course, you have to look at the situation that we're in, what we're seeing out of this, and what was expected out of this, because Trump was up there in the White House tweeting furiously, law and order, and fire and fury, and all the other bullshit that he tweets on a daily basis here, because I do look at this and I say that this was a trap. This was a presidential trap. This was an instance where they were going to occupy and essentially secede from a part of the U.S. that was completely landlocked, strategically horrible, because you've got no port and you've got no in or out for trade. If they'd have done this like right on a port, I could see that there was some strategic ideal going on there, and they were actually planning on doing this long term and actually succeeding in a long term fashion. But they have no port and they have no entry by rail, by road, or by anything else to receive goods or services or send goods or services out. Airdrop would be the only way they could do that, and that's tentative at best. So yeah, this was bait. This was out there trying to get Trump to come out and bring the military out so they could come out and say, whoa, he's a dictator. And Trump didn't fall into the trap, and now Durkin is going to come in and look like the dictator when she goes in and breaks it up. Or Inslee either. Both of their political careers are over at this point. They're going to have something really, really good happen to both of them in order to keep going with this. But, people are dying at this point, and they kept this going. So, yeah, look forward to this going away at this point. And we will move on. From the Daily Wire, tear them down. BLM activist Shaun King calls for the destruction of Jesus Christ statues, churches, white supremacy, oppression, racist propaganda. This is from Amanda Prestigiacomo. Sean King, the controversial Black Lives Matter activist known for pushing false claims, called for the destruction of Jesus Christ statues and Christian churches for their depiction of the white Holy Family, which King argued are forms of white supremacy and racist propaganda that promote oppression. Translation: Sean King just watched Dogma and listened to Chris Rock say that Jesus wasn't white, Jesus was black. Yes, I think the statues of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down, the activist posted via Twitter on Monday. They are a form of white supremacy, always have been. In the Bible, King continued, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down. Go away, advertisement. In a follow-up post, King called for the destruction of stained glass windows, murals, and other parts of Christian churches built in buildings that depict biblical figures as white. Yes, he wrote, all murals and stained glass windows of white Jesus and his European mother and their white friends should also come down. They're a gross form of white supremacy created as tools of oppression, racist propaganda. They should all come down, he added. As noted by Fox News, many on Twitter pointed out to King that differing cultures depict biblical figures in ways that resemble their own community. Ethiopia, for instance, has depicted Jesus as black for more than 1,500 years. The report highlighted, likewise, images of Jesus appearing Asian can be found throughout the Far East. The messaging from King comes on the heels of the nationwide Black Lives Matter protests and riots over alleged institutional racism. The rioting, first sparked by the death of George Floyd, a black man who died after a troubling arrest caught on viral video, quickly led to the destruction of statues for various reasons, including the depicted figures owning slaves. So yes, they are going to continue to go out and tear down the world because they're pissed. I don't know why they're pissed, but they're pissed and they're going to come out and show it to you. Anything that has come out of Europe has to die, according to these people, and at some point they're going to try and move this into a red area, and they're going to meet opposition for the first time. And Godspeed to these people. Absolutely, for those of you listening back on the audio platform later, if I ever get caught back up to it, I did the cross over my chest, the Catholic one, even though I'm far from Catholic. That's the best blessing I can give to these people. All right, let's keep moving along here. From CNN. This is who's blocked from coming into the U.S. under Trump's latest ban. This is from Catherine E. Shoichet, maybe? I don't know. I butcher last names when on this show. I have to apologize to these reporters because I just beat the crap out of their last names because I can't pronounce 3/4 of them. President Trump's latest proclamation outlines a number of new restrictions on visas for temporary foreign workers. His argument, the devastating economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic has forced officials to do more to protect American jobs. Business groups and immigrants' rights advocates are crying foul. They say these restrictions will ultimately harm the economy, and they're accusing the Trump administration of using the public health crisis as a pretext to enact unnecessary immigration restrictions. Unless you're an attorney or an immigrant with experience navigating the U.S. system, the alphabet soup of visas listed in Monday's proclamation might be tough to decipher. The bottom line, a wide range of workers, from au pairs to software engineers, will be blocked from coming to the U.S. at least until January, and those restrictions could be extended. There are some exceptions. Among them, the proclamation says officials will come up with standards to let in people treating COVID-19 patients or conducting research to help the U.S. combat the pandemic. It will also draft similar standards to admit people who are critical to national security, are necessary to help the country's economic recovery, or are essential to the U.S. food supply chain, and the new measures don't apply to people who've already been issued valid visas. But even so, the Migration Policy Institute estimates some 167,000 temporary workers will be kept out of the United States as a result of these new restrictions, which take effect on Wednesday. Here's a look at what kind of jobs are included in Trump's proclamation and how many people could be affected in each visa category. H-1B visa covers individuals who work in a specialty occupation, engaged in cooperative research and development projects administered by the U.S. Department of Defense. They're best known for covering skilled tech workers, but workers in other industries, and about 29,000 people could be denied based on this. H-2B visa allows U.S. employers to bring foreign nationals to the United States to fill a temporary non-agricultural job, about 23,000 there. J-1 visa, work study and au pairs, it looks like, 72,000 people affected there. And an L1 visa, temporary intra-company transferees who work in managerial positions who have specialized knowledge, and about 6,000 people there. So management from a foreign firm coming in to do some work in the U.S. is going to be on there. Au pairs, non-farm workers that are temporary, and tech people. And I understand the protectionism of this. I mean, what do we have now? 13.1 million people still on unemployment. They haven't released the numbers yet at this point, so I'm not sure where the numbers are. But we've still got millions of people that are out of work. So, and I can understand why Trump would want that those jobs or the jobs that these people are taking to go back to American citizens first. I absolutely understand that. And my advice to the people that want to have these jobs is that they should possibly go down to the permanent resident or even citizenship path if they would rather come in and do it that way. But there are some of these other jobs too. I mean, if we do have to get out and fill a large number of people in the supply chain as well, we are going to want to come in and grab some of these people as we move along. But that's all that I have for this one here. Let's keep moving on. From Fox News again, Trump calls for arrest, prison time for vandals targeting monuments. There will be no exceptions. From Ron Blitzer. President Trump declared Monday morning that anyone caught vandalizing monuments or any other federal property can be subject to arrest and face up to 10 years in prison. The president's latest statement follows an attempt to take down a statue of Andrew Jackson in Washington, D.C.'s Lafayette Square near the White House Monday night, a second incident targeting the nearby St. John's Church and prior vandalism of the Lincoln Memorial and World War II Memorial. I have authorized the federal government to arrest anyone who vandalizes or destroys any monument, statue, or other such federal property in the U.S. with up to 10 years in prison per the Veterans Memorial Preservation Act, or such other laws that may be pertinent, Trump tweeted. This action is taken effective immediately, but may also be used retroactively for destruction or vandalism already caused. There will be no exceptions. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy called the church's attack a chilling message that faith and freedom are enemies in the eyes of the anarchists on the street, adding that those responsible must be prosecuted. Historic monuments and statues have become the targets of anger and vandalism during protests in the wake of George Floyd's police custody death at the end of May. And John and I talked a little bit about this last night, and John actually brought up a really good point when we were talking about flag burning, and this goes down the same avenue as probably the flag burning. I could draw a very big parallel between the two of these. So if you're flag burning and you go and you buy the flag, if you go out and buy your own U.S. flag and burn it as a point of speech, that's your own business. You spent your money on that, and then you just lit your money on fire because you wanted to go out and make a demonstration protest. You do have the right to do that and the freedom to do that. That's freedom of speech. That's, as much as a lot of people over on the right want to try and tear that down, that is a freedom of expression that I think people have the right to do. Now, if they come and take my flag to do it, that's theft. It's minor theft, and it's probably a misdemeanor in restitution, but that is theft if they come and take my flag to do this. Now, yes, I appreciate the fact that these people want to come out and make a statement by toppling these statues, and I do appreciate the sentiment about this. I actually do, and I do think we need to keep this up to learn from history, but I understand the sentiment of why they want to tear these down. But these were commissioned by the government, taxpayer funded, and put into public parks, especially on federal property, as President Trump is pointing out, on the ones that he's pointing out about, including the Lincoln Memorial, which means this is theft from the American taxpayer. They're damaging, and the federal government is also going to have to commission cleanup crews and repair crews for this to the tune of millions of dollars because of no-bid contracts in the government. That's another story for a different time out of this, but this is still theft from the American people when they come out and destroy these statues. And yes, I would be willing to come and talk about possibly putting these into a museum, commissioning them that way, and just the moving fee which is still going to be astronomical due to no bid contract, but is going to be astronomical in a different way, and people can go and look at this, and we can even generate money off of this for fares for coming into a museum. But as they're coming down, destroying these things, toppling the heads, and vandalizing them to the tune of millions of dollars, no, this is theft. It's not your property. You didn't pay for it. The American taxpayers did, and it is theft. And taxation is already theft to begin with, so that's where I stand on this statue thing and everything else that we see here. So thanks, John, for bringing that point up. All right, let's keep moving. From the Daily Wire, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department investigating tampon allegedly put in officer's Starbucks drink, report says. This is from Ryan Saavedra. So, do you think the thing just blew up and filled up the cup? Because from what I understand, those things are pretty absorbent. I've never seen one wet, so I have no idea. But from what I understand, those things are pretty absorbent. Let's keep going. From Ryan Saavedra, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is reportedly investigating an incident where an off-duty Los Angeles Police Department officer found a tampon in a Starbucks drink late last week. Fox 11 LA reporter Bill Malugan reported Monday that sources informed him that on Friday an off-duty LAPD officer allegedly discovered a tampon in his Frappuccino while he was halfway through finishing it. If you didn't notice it before halfway through, you've got a bigger problem. I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to call this one a hoax. Malugan included an image of the tampon in his initial tweet. The off-duty officer had purchased the drink while his police credit union debit card, or with his police credit union debit card from a Starbucks in Diamond Bar. Malugan reported the sheriff's department has confirmed that they took a report and are investigating. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department detectives have reportedly already obtained security camera footage and are in the process of reviewing it to determine if any criminality occurred. Go away, advertise. I have an ad blocker. Why the fuck are you giving me an advertisement? Wow. That is a brown tampon. And you didn't notice that on a medium until you were halfway through. No. Fox 11 Los Angeles noted that the officer was furious when he made the discovery and went back inside to confront the employees at the establishment, which is a licensee located inside a Target store, meaning that the employees do not work for Starbucks. The LAPPL, the Los Angeles Police Protective League, I thought that was going to be LAPD, that's why I started to abbreviate it, told the local news station this disgusting assault on a police officer was carried out by someone with hatred in their heart. I can't believe that someone will have, so much hate in their heart and who lacks human decency. We hope they are publicly exposed, fired, arrested, and prosecuted for their cowardly and repugnant actions. Malugan addressed the recent story involving a Shake Shack in New York City where several police officers went to the hospital after they thought they may have ingested a chemical in beverages that they ingested. It was later revealed that not only was there no criminality in the case, the officers did not get sick. So, yeah, there's a couple different things going on here. On a medium, and I know how big a medium Starbucks is, regretfully, the fact that he was halfway through it and just noticed it then, I'm going to go on a limb and say no, this is probably a hoax. But it's interesting to see because now we've got two factions coming out here. One saying that yes, we know that people are calling this a hoax, so we're going to see what we can get away with. And the police officers as well, who are interested in calling out the activists, especially in left-wing organizations like Starbucks, to try and have problems dealt with them. So there are a couple things at work here, and I don't know what to believe on this story. Let's keep going. From Fox News. My last Fox News, thankfully. Rhode Island considers name change due to slavery connotations. This is a repost from the New York Post. What's in a name for the state of Rhode Island? Years of acrimony over an official designation with connotations to slavery. But change is brewing in the Union's smallest state as Rhode Island Governor Gina Raimondo signed an executive order on Monday taking the first steps to change the state's full name, the State of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations. The Plantations part of the name has come under increased scrutiny following widespread protests after the killing of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. All right, show of hands in the live chat, which there aren't that many people watching right now, but show of hands in the live chat and in the comment section afterward. How many people knew that was Rhode Island's name before today? Here's a better question. How many people remember that there was a Rhode Island before today? Because it's the easiest state in the Union to forget. Well, that next to Delaware, because I don't know that I've ever met anybody that lives in Delaware. I was surprised over my vacation when I was traveling up the East Coast to see a license plate that said Delaware, because I didn't think that there was a Delaware. I thought it was a hoax because I never met anybody that lived there, but I saw a license plate from there, so. The order, Executive Order 20-48, will change the name to just Rhode Island in official communications from the governor's office, including future executive orders, citations, and stationary letterheads. It also calls on state executive agencies to remove the plantations reference from their website. The order does not change the state's official name permanently. That will require voters to amend the Rhode Island Constitution, the order states. I think you could have just done this silently in the background and nobody would have known or cared. Because nobody knew that this was a big deal in the first place. But yes, apparently Rhode Island has plantations in the name. So, they are no longer. When does Connecticut just absorb Rhode Island? That's what I gotta wonder. Split California into two and let Connecticut absorb Rhode Island, and at that point you've still got 50 states. Alright, let's keep going here. From the Daily Wire, Matt Walsh writes, "There have been a slew of violent attacks against white people. None have been prosecuted as hate crimes. Why not?" A white Macy's employee was brutally assaulted by a black man in the middle of the store a few days ago. Video shows the assailant, Demir Palmer, punching the man in the head as he crawls on the ground begging Palmer to stop. The assailant's brother, who filmed the crime and posted it proudly to social media, claims that the victim used the N-word. Even if that's true, that wouldn't remotely justify felony assault, but it isn't true. Macy's investigated and confirmed that the attack was unprovoked. Also, the N-word claim is absurd on its face. A Macy's employee is not going to casually refer to his black customers as racial slurs. If he had that habit, he would have been fired a long time ago. What actually happened, from the looks of it, is that Palmer brothers selected a victim based on his race, beat him mercilessly, and then slandered him. They damaged him physically and then tried to ruin his life. If the hate crime designation has any meaning, this should fit the bill. Yet to hit this point, no hate crime charges have been filed, nor has there been any public discussion about filing them. It should be noted that a man who assaulted a Macy's employee last year was charged with a hate crime because he used anti-gay slurs during the attack. The prosecutor, in that case, said the attacker subjected the victim to offensive physical contact and that this was done because of his perception of the victim's sexual orientation. Well, was this latest Macy's assault not offensive physical contact due to the attacker's perception of the advertisement that just came up here, of the victim's race? This, unfortunately, is not an isolated incident. Recently, there have been a slew of horrific physical attacks against white people. Last week, a group of African-American men attacked a white man in a gas station parking lot in Texas, punching him, knocking him to the ground, and then stomping on his head. In New York, a black man pushed a 92-year-old woman to the ground. She bashed her head against a fire hydrant as she fell. No hate crime charges have been filed. In another attack against the elderly, Jaden T. Hayden of Michigan repeatedly beat a 75-year-old nursing home patient in the head as he lay helplessly on his bed. Hayden has a YouTube video where he claims that the black race is supposed to rule the earth. No hate crime charges were filed, but try to imagine the same outcome if a white man with a similar professed view about the white race were to film himself brutalizing an elderly black man. Yes, I get where Walsh is going with this, but I am to the... I think we just need to eliminate the hate crime thing altogether, because all of these things were crimes on their head, on their own right. You don't need to tack on an extra crime because it makes you feel good or it makes you feel bad in a certain way. So no, there shouldn't be hate crime charges filed, and there shouldn't be hate crime charges filed in the other direction either. Just eliminate the hate crime law altogether and just prosecute the crimes that are out there and call it a day. Too many laws in this country. All right, let's keep going here. From WLKY out of Louisville. DOJ Louisville soldier accused of terrorism after leaking details about a unit to a neo-Nazi group. This is from Christopher White. A Louisville soldier is facing terrorism charges for planning deadly ambush on soldiers in his own unit. According to a press release from the Department of Justice, Ethan Melzer, 22, sent sensitive details about his unit to members of an extremist organization named the Order of the Nine Angles. The group is an occult-based neo-Nazi and white supremacist group. The details included information about his unit's location, movements, and security. Melzer allegedly provided this potentially deadly information, intending that it may be conveyed to jihadist terrorists. As alleged, Melzer was motivated by racism and hatred as he attempted to carry out this ultimate act of betrayal, said Acting U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss for the Southern District of New York. The FBI and the U.S. Army were on to Melzer's plot in May, and the FBI ultimately arrested Melzer on June 10th. U.S. District Judge Gregory Woods is handling the case. According to the DOJ, Melzer joined the U.S. Army in 2018 and then joined O9A by 2019. The O9A has expressed admiration for both Nazis, such as Adolf Hitler, and Islamic jihadists, such as Osama bin Laden. Ohana bin Laden. Yeah, that would be funny. Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind unless you are infidel. In April, the FBI seized files from an iCloud account maintained by Melzer that featured an ISIS-issued document with the title that included the phrase "Harvest of the Soldiers," the DOJ says. The document gave specific instructions on how the O9A would carry out attacks and murders of U.S. personnel. In the document, Melzer acknowledged that he could be killed during the attack and even described his willingness to die, writing, "Who gives a expletive? It would be another war. I would have died successfully because another 10-year war in the Middle East would definitely leave a mark." So, this guy seems like a piece of crap. But we are going to go down the race train, no matter what it is that we do, forever and ever and ever. But I thought this was interesting to share, especially on the local setting. All right, let's keep going from the Chicago Tribune, and then I've got a rebuttal for this from a blog, which we will keep in mind that this is a blog and is not green chart verified, but the Chicago Tribune is. Also in Louisville, a city of 600,000 residents, one polling place will be open for Kentucky's primary election. This is from Bruce Schreiner and Christina A. Cassidy via the Associated Press. With only one polling location designated for Louisville on Tuesday, voters who didn't cast mail-in ballots or show up early could face long lines in Kentucky's primary election, the latest to unfold in a pandemic that's triggered unprecedented election disruptions across the country. The outcome of a competitive Democratic U.S. Senate primary could hang in the balance of Election Day turnout is hampered in Louisville, the hometown of Charles Booker, who's mounted a strong late challenge against the presumed frontrunner Amy McGrath. If Charles Booker barely loses, I think the integrity of that election is in question, Republican State Rep. Jason Nems said on Monday. The primary's winner will go against Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who isn't expected to see a serious GOP primary challenge in November. The state's Republican Secretary of State, Michael Adams, said he's cautiously optimistic. Long lines won't force people in Louisville to wait hours before voting. Early voting opened statewide 2 weeks ago. That, along with strong demand for absentee ballots, could spare people in Louisville or elsewhere from the long waits, Adams said on Monday. Nemes sued to get more in-person voting locations in the state's most populous counties. A federal judge denied the request days before the election. The surge of absentee ballots could cause waits of another sort on Tuesday, as some counties have said they won't release the vote totals before June 30th. Kentucky turned to widespread mail-in absentee voting in an agreement between the Democratic governor and Adams in response to the coronavirus outbreak. But many voters not requesting absentee ballots will head to the polls Tuesday. Each county submitted a plan to the state on how many polling places to open. The state's primary is typically in late May, but was delayed. So this, from what it looks like here, is an argument over a primary election that only involves Democrats. So I don't see why these Hollywood celebrities are complaining about it. And I actually came across this when I saw Taylor Schilling's Instagram, the chick from Orange is the New Black. I saw it on her Instagram earlier before I got up and out of bed today and went in and explored this, and this is what I found from the Chicago Tribune. But a Louisville resident actually offered a rebuttal to this, which I found interesting as well. From Forward Kentucky, a blog, so not green check verified, keep that in mind, please. Would everyone please get the Louisville voting story straight? From Bruce Maples. Oh my god, over 100,000 people in that football stadium. How will they ever get a hot dog? If you are taken aback by the stupidity of that question, you'll know how I feel reading all the hot takes on the voting setup in Louisville, Kentucky, where I live. Everyone and their brother and sister is riffing on the theme of 380,000 voters and one polling location, and if that were true, it would be insane. But it's not even close. Normally, we vote in 270 polling locations across the county. Many of these are in small places, like the lobby of a middle school gym, where I usually vote, where social distancing would be difficult, if not impossible. And of course, most of our poll workers are retired, so they're older and particularly susceptible to COVID-19. So, faced with the very real possibility of not having nearly enough poll workers and needing to figure out some way to keep people safe, the local board of elections made a decision. Move all the in-person voting to a single, very large location, so they chose the Kentucky Expo Center. This is a big building. It's an expo center, right? Lots of room to spread out, and BOE did just that. So here's the part I want to get across. I spoke with a comms person for the BOE this morning. He added these details. There are 18 different queue lines for voting. There will be persons at all entrances with electronic polling books. You give them your name and address. They look you up and get you to the correct line. Each line can hold 25 people at a time, 6 feet apart. At the end of the line will be multiple precincts with different ballots, just like a normal election. You get the paper ballot for your precinct, go to the one of the stand-up private voting tables, mark your ballot, and turn it in to be scanned. You're done. There are 2,200 different ballots in use due to the various combinations of small city elections, state legislature primaries, metro council primaries, and so on. Every political body draws their lines separately, so next-door neighbors can literally be in different council districts as well as different state league districts. Masks will be required and hand sanitizer will be readily available. The local public transportation service is running free shuttles from their downtown hub to the expo center so people can get there to vote. So, yeah, I can see the point of this as well. I mean, where I vote, I never have to worry about it because there is one polling location for the entire city that I live in because it's only 5,000 people. So we can all get there throughout the day, and I mean, there's never a line. Even before the pandemic, there was never a line. You just walk in, go through there, you're in and out in about 5 minutes. But I could understand this in various other places. I used to live up in Dane County, and the particular precinct that I lived in was in a very small sheriff's department subset, which was down the road from where I lived. And it was a very small building, so yeah, you were packed in there like sardines to go and vote, even though it was also a very, very small precinct that you voted in. It was incredibly tiny, and there weren't that many people there, but even still, you were in a room that's actually considerably smaller than the studio I'm sitting in right now, and you could potentially get all the residents in that precinct in there at once. So doing something like this and moving like that would probably be moved up to the Alliant Energy Center in Madison if they wanted to do something like this, where people would just run up to Madison, go vote, and get the ballot for their precinct and get into one of the they'd probably put 20 lines in there, given the size of Madison. So you'd have 20 lines, the poll worker would send you to the right line, and you could go and wait, but still have the distance and the ability to space yourself out. So there are a few good things out of this, and once again, I cannot verify the integrity of this, not being green check certified, but it was an interesting rebuttal to the argument. Alright, I got just a few more here, and then we will go on to do Twitter trending. From CNN, Department of Justice looking into news found in NASCAR star Bubba Wallace's garage stall. From Amir Vera, Eric Levinson, and Diane Gallagher. Department of Justice investigators say Monday that they're looking into the noose that was found in NASCAR star Bubba Wallace's garage stall. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Alabama, FBI, and Department of Justice Civil Rights Division are reviewing the situation surrounding the noose that was found in Bubba Wallace's garage to determine whether there are violations of federal law. U.S. Attorney J.E. Town said in a statement, "Regardless of whether federal charges can be brought, this type of action has no place in our society. The announcement came a day after NASCAR said a noose was found in Wallace's garage stall and launched its own investigation into the matter. "We are angry and outraged and cannot say strongly enough how seriously we take this heinous act," NASCAR's statement read. "We have launched an immediate investigation and will do everything we can to identify the persons responsible and eliminate them from the sport." And I talked about this yesterday, and this is going to be a massive hoax. I can almost put money onto that one. And somebody actually pointed out the figures on Twitter yesterday, and I should have taken the tweet and written it down, or at least copied it out so we could look at it. But yes, first off, the security between the garages is huge because they don't want other drivers and other teams tampering with the cars. So there's that aspect of just the people that are allowed into the garage area. They don't want any of the tampering going on out and on without this, which would make this an inside job for somebody that was specifically on the Bubba Wallace team, if it even happened the way that they're saying that it happened. But the big thing that we need to keep in mind with this as well is they're going to go out and try and pin this on some hateful fan who wanted to come in and express his grief over the fact that they took the Confederate flag out of NASCAR. Here's something you have to keep in mind. Some random fan is not going to be walking into a garage like this. The garage is going to be locked, number one, if nobody's there. So if this happened, somebody saw it happen. But the bigger question is the numbers of what's here. On any given garage and trailer in NASCAR, you're sitting there with $2 million or more worth of car parts, and tools. I bet you there's at least $3 million in each one of those garages. Plus the tractor, the trailer, which are custom built to haul cars and to go out to these various places. There's so much that's going on with this that, I mean, it is, you're not just going to walk in off the street. So whatever happened, this has got to be an inside job. There's no way security is that lax in Alabama. Even in Alabama, there's no way that it's that lax. So there's something else fucking going on here. And like they said in the tweet yesterday, I think we might be seeing another Jussie Smollett. All right, speaking of Bubba Wallace from CBS News, NASCAR drivers rally around Bubba Wallace at Talladega. "We want to stand with our friend," by Danielle Garand. NASCAR drivers and crew members sent a powerful message to the world on Monday. "We stand with Bubba Wallace." The show of solidarity came a day after NASCAR announced that the noose was discovered inside Wallace's garage stall at Talladega Superspeedway. A massive crowd pushed and followed Wallace's number 43 car as he sat in the driver's seat during pre-race activities. Wallace, NASCAR's only full-time black driver, then exited the car and embraced the Hall of Fame driver Richard Petty, who owns the team Wallace races for and had not attended a race during the coronavirus pandemic. "The drivers feel very strongly that they want to show their support of Bubba," NASCAR President Steve Phelps told the reporters. "He's a member of the NASCAR community. He's a member of the NASCAR family." The crowd stood behind Wallace during the national anthem. Wallace tweeted a selfie he took on the track of the moment of riding together. So he's Kaepernicking, which Kaepernicking was a taunt that Kaepernick did when he was actually still a good player and could still actually taunt when he still had a place to taunt. But I mean, this is what he's doing. This is take the knee all over again, and he's trying to rally up all the fans and all the drivers to come in and join in the protest, just like they did when every player across the NFL was kneeling. Now, I ditched NASCAR a while ago because it was getting boring out of this. I initially enjoyed the fact that the cars were all essentially the same and the sport came down to skill, whereas in other motorsports we had the situation where, you know, it was whoever had the most money and who had the best engineering team could win the other motorsport. But this was a strategy game to me, and it was something that I enjoyed. But at this point, I'd gotten bored with it. There were long races. I couldn't spend the time sitting down and watching them anymore. And it wasn't really fun unless you were actually going to there, and I didn't really want to go to any of these races anymore. So I ditched NASCAR a while ago. It surprises me that this is coming out at this point, that this is going to happen at this point. But do what you can, I guess. All right. Just a few more here. In other stupidity news, from the New York Post, Amazon slammed for offering workers chicken and waffles on Juneteenth. This is from Paula Froelich. Amazon is once again in hot water after its Chicago warehouse offered workers chicken and waffles to celebrate Juneteenth, the day that the slaves were freed. We stand in solidarity honoring the black community by supporting local black businesses. We're happy to share an authentic meal crafted by Chicago's Chicken and Waffles on June 19th, a sign read, which was posted in the DCH1 Amazonians United Facebook page on the group. On Juneteenth, a day we celebrate some level of liberation and freedom won by black people, Amazon is standing in solidarity and honoring the black community by giving us majority black workforce at DCH1 chicken and waffles. The DCH1 Amazonians quipped, as people throughout the world are rising up against Cops Corporation and this anti-black capitalist system we live under, Amazon mocks us with this racist form of celebration. Yeah, I can't see why that would have gone well. I think that one was a little bit tone deaf. So much for supporting your black African American employees. Where's the solidarity in that? They continue. We demand a paid holiday, not some damn chicken. Commenters slammed the company in the post, with one asking, should I bring the watermelon too? Oof. Oof. That was probably a step too far. An Amazon spokesperson told CNBC that in the statement that the leader who put on this event had good intentions to honor the Juneteenth by supporting local small business owned by a member of the black community. The spokesperson said the warehouse's Juneteenth catering was being ordered from one of the employees' favorite restaurants. Amazon has been blasted recently for the inhumane conditions in its warehouses, as well as firing workers who try to unionize. Yeah, that was probably the wrong way to do it. I'm not gonna lie. And I like chicken and waffles, or I did when I could still eat waffles, but yeah, I'm not going to lie, that was probably the wrong way to do it. Alright, just a few more here from Variety. 30 Rock Blackface episodes pulled from streaming syndication at Tina Fey and NBCU's request. This is from Will Thorne. 30 Rock creators. No, I don't want to see notifications from Variety. Variety sucks. 30 Rock creators Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, along with the show's owner NBC Universal, have asked that 4 episodes of the series, in which characters appear in blackface, be removed from streaming and syndication. In a note obtained by Variety and shared below, Fey wrote to the platform saying that the episodes are best taken out of circulation and apologizing for the pain that they have caused. In a note obtained by Variety and shared below, Fey wrote to the platform saying that the episodes are best taken... Oh, I read that one already. As we strive to do the work and do better in regards to race in America, we believe that these episodes featuring actors in race-changing makeup are best taken out of circulation. I understand now that intent is not a free pass for white people to use these images. I apologize for the pain they may have caused. Going forward, no comedy-loving kid needs to stumble on these tropes and be stung by their ugliness. I might have to buy 30 Rock on DVD because that's going to be a collector's item at this point because they're taking it out the streaming services. Good job whitewashing your art. I thank NBC Universal for honoring this request. All of the episodes will be removed by the end of the week, according to a source with knowledge of the situation. While some have already been removed from Amazon and Hulu, the episodes will no longer air as reruns on television, and viewers will no longer be able to purchase the episodes from iTunes and Google Play. The episodes in question are Believe in the Stars, Season 3, Episode 2. Oh, I love how they gave me the list. And Christmas Attack Zone, Season 5, Episode 10, both of which featured Jane Krakowski's character, Jenna, in blackface, as well as Live from Studio 6H, Season 6, Episode 19, which featured John Hamm in blackface as part of an Amos and Andy parody, and the East Coast version of the live show, Season 5, Episode 4. Yep, I am buying Season 3, Season 5, and Season 6, so I can have access to these episodes and put them out at some point. Because nobody else will. I'll find a way. I'll probably get dinged for copyright somehow, but I will find a way to put these out. This is just stupidity. Pander a little bit more, Tina Fey. Alright. From Fox Business. Tesla to Texas, contrary to expectations. Fox News hates my ad blocker. Let's get rid of this video too as soon as it pops up. Alright. Contrary to expectations, things are getting real. Tesla is said to be in negotiation with Travis County, Texas. This is from Chuck DeBoer. when on May 9th, Tesla CEO Elon Musk registered his frustration via Twitter over California's COVID restrictions, making it impossible to build cars. He wrote, "Frankly, this is the final straw. Tesla will now move its headquarters and future programs to Texas/Nevada immediately." He then added, "Tesla is the last car maker left in California." Musk's threat to move to Texas was immediately discounted as empty, a mere hardball negotiation tactic with the state that has become notoriously anti-business. Unimpressed with the 10,000 jobs Tesla created in California, the state assembly maker from San Diego quickly tweeted an expletive at Musk, in effect telling him to go ahead and leave. But now, contrary to expectations, things in general are getting real. Tesla is said to be in negotiation with Travis County, Texas, home to the state capital, Austin, for property tax abatements on what is said to be a $25 billion investment, bringing up 30,000 jobs to the state. Since Texas collects most of its taxes through property taxes, abatements are often offered as an incentive for industry to locate in the state and can be worth millions. The proposed Tesla Gigafactory in Austin would build the company's new Cybertruck electric pickup and serve as a second site to build the Model Y SUV. So, Musk SpaceX already has a presence in Texas with its rocket development and test facility in McGregor. These negotiations are serious enough that the United Auto Workers Union and other allied unions are pressuring the left-leaning Travis County Commissioner's Court to make any tax abatement contingent on an agreement by Tesla to unionize its workforce. Yeah, good luck with that. While Texas is a right-to-work state, localities can in effect override the state law by withholding tax incentives unless a business agrees to certain terms favorable to big labor. Big labor, I like the fact that they put that in there and made that statement here. But yeah, Tesla is going out to Texas. It looks like it's going to be finalized at this point, and good on them. Take those jobs out of California because, everyone else is at this point. Let California sit in the bed that they've made from their high taxes and their anti-billionaire stance. Just let them sit and stew in it for a little while. Let's see if the Hollywood celebrities can keep the economy running, because definitely all the manufacturing is leaving. So enjoy that. Maybe it'll cause Sacramento to get their heads out of their asses. Maybe not. Who knows? Alright, last one here before we read Twitter trending. From CNN, Bolton book oozes with contempt for his old boss. This is from Peter Bergen. There is simply no precedent for a former top administration official publishing a book about a sitting president that is as damning as John Bolton's. To come even close, you'd have to go back 3.5 decades to David Stockman, President Reagan's director of the Office of Management and Budget, and his 1986 book, The Triumph of Politics, Why the Reagan Revolution Failed, which painted a deeply unflattering portrait of Reagan and his senior White House advisors. But Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened, makes Stockman's book look like one of the so-called love letters that the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has routinely sent to the easily flattered and bottomlessly narcissistic President Donald Trump. Bolton's portrayal of Trump is devastating, and it will be hard for Trump supporters to paint him as some sort of pinko liberal, since he volunteered as a teenager to work for the Barry Goldwater campaign, then interned for the Spiro Agnew, and went on to work in Republican administrations going back to Reagan. Bolton was also a frequent and bellicose presence on Fox News before he joined the Trump administration. It's not hard to understand why Trump has sought to block the book's publication and has branded it a pack of lies. Well, the thing about this, and the thing about Bolton's book here, is the fact that, and I talked about this with my mom last night too, Bolton is a war hawk. He's a warmongering asshole, and I do believe that a big part of the reason that he's putting this book out right now in a tell-all is because he's pissed at the fact that Trump didn't want to go storming into another Middle Eastern country, because that's all that Bolton wants, is to go out and stay forever in the Middle East. And he's proven that time and time again over various Republican administrations. He is a fucking war hawk. So I don't trust anything that comes out of this book. I don't. I will read it because I'm interested, but I don't trust anything that comes out of it. And this is just a guy who's sore at the fact that the president is. I don't care that he's been a Republican from the beginning to the end. I really don't. I'm never going to try and paint him as some sort of pinko commie. He's a fucking warmongering asshole. He needs to be removed from anywhere near the government as quickly as possible and stop getting us into forever wars over in the Middle East. So, no, it has nothing to do with pinko communism. President Trump didn't want to go to war, and Bolton was pissed. And even the Democrats said it right in the beginning when President Trump hired Bolton. They said, oh, well, this means we're going into another war, and this anti-war thing that Trump said is going to go away because Bolton's going to be advising him and taking us into another war. And now that he's speaking out against the Trump administration, he is the hero. I just want to remind everybody of one thing about John Bolton. Weapons of fucking mass destruction. That's what Bolton needs to be known for, not a tell-all book against the evil orange man. But you quickly forget about that when your Trump derangement syndrome is that bad. Alright, now we're going to go over onto Twitter and read the Twitter trending and look at the last article that I was looking for before we got onto air. Let's go and see what we've got on trending. From the trending tab, number 1. Wow, this is all just Tuesday stuff. Maybe I need to find a different day to do Twitter trending. I'm going to skip the Tuesday stuff, especially the advertisement. T-Mobile Tuesdays, fuck you. Yeah, we're going to skip that. We're going to go with Novak Djokovic, test positive for COVID-19, and he's trending because of it. I have no idea who this guy is. Apparently he's a tennis player at some point. Kentucky is trending because of their polling locations. We talked a bit about that as we went along. Creepster is trending. Let's see what that is. Oh, washed up creepster John Bolton is a lowlife who should be in jail. Money seized for disseminating for-profit highly classified information. Remember what they did to the young submarine sailor, but did nothing to crooked Hillary. I ended up pardoning him. It wasn't fair. So, yeah. There's going to be some more political stuff going back and forth. Mia Khalifa. This should be interesting. Let's see. What's Mia Khalifa doing? I know people are pissed about it. I'm sorry, but people who literally treat Mia Khalifa as an object instead of a living, breathing female with a story and a family and a personality have got to go. Y'all think sexism ain't an issue anymore. Well, to be fair, Mia Khalifa kind of let herself be an object for the first part of her career. She's not in that career anymore, but the same bumasses that shame Mia Khalifa are the ones who come after 3 minutes of her private videos. Boy, if you don't shut the fuck up. What did she do? I don't know what she did. If Mia Khalifa hates porn, or hates that she did porn so much, why the F does she still use her porn name? So I'm guessing she came out and bitched about porn somewhere. Is what happened. But, yeah, she still uses that name. Alright, let's see. What will be the last one here today? The last one will be Tina Fey, which we already talked a bit about here. Tina Fey got her wish, and they took down all the episodes of the blackface from 30 Rock. Which kind of makes me pissed that they took it off Netflix before I got a chance to watch it. Because I was actually going to binge that when it was still on Netflix. And now I get to miss some of these episodes. Because I never saw it when it was original. So, and I'm interested in the cause. And I do, as much as an SJW as she is, I do enjoy Mia Khalifa. I do enjoy Tina Fey's writing. She is an excellent writer. And I would watch any show that she's written. Even if she has grown up to be an anti-Trump SJW. She's still good. Hate the artist, love the art. That's what I always say. But that's all that I have for the day. So we will be back here later on tonight and play some more Fallout New Vegas. I hope you come by and I hope you enjoy that time with me. Otherwise, we will be back here tomorrow with more contemporary. And tomorrow night, I will be on Anna Voltis' show talking about the monopoly on violence by the government. So don't miss that. There's going to be me, John from the Generational Gap, apparently Robert from the Generational Gap. I didn't realize that was coming, and Wyatt Birkenhoff. So come and check us out over there. It's going to be a great time, and I always enjoy talking to Anna Voltis. He's always got a lot of good things to say, and he's very philosophical. It's nice to step away from the politics and look at the philosophy of government for every once in a while instead of just bitching about Trump and the Democrats as well. So come and check that out. It's going to be a great time. Links will be posted in my Discord and on my Twitter, so go and check that out. And until then, we will see you tomorrow or later on tonight. Take care, everyone. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Almost forgot my ending line there. Take care.